I guess I'm the only one here so far. Um,
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now. There are 1 participants in the meeting.
Whoa.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Yeah. So we got on.
Yes, we did. I did a little dry run with Deborah yesterday because I've never used Zoom before.
Good. Yeah, I was on and then nobody was on, and so I'm going, well, my God, what's going on here? And I knew that you would be on, so.
It looks like Kat's on.
I wonder how come I'm not getting that.
She just popped on.
Okay.
Hi.
There she is.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Hi, Kat.
Hey, everybody. Do you know if Dan's coming?
He sent me a note and said that he had to take his mother to the doctor, so he thought he might have to join a little bit late.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't really sure what, how that was all going to unroll this morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Amanda had 1,000 things happening at once, so.
Well, we're happy that you're here.
Okay, thanks.
I haven't heard anything from Senga.
I haven't either, so.
Now, one thing that I do want to say that Deborah said that these Zoom calls automatically record. So everything that we have here is recorded, and I think later on they, take any information and they kind of roll it into a YouTube for later use.
They do.
So don't say anything derogatory about anybody.
Deb, I can't stand her. Okay, here we go. So, a couple of things here. Melissa, hello?
Yes, yep.
I wasn't able to find or able to get on to our worksheets.
Oh.
And
Nor was I.
Okay. Yeah, so I need some TA on that.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can share. Let's see. I thought maybe I could share my Google file. I might not be able to do it. Safari. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. I have the papers in front of me. I'll make sure that I'll go back in and make sure that you have access to that. So I'll just update it after this meeting today and send it to you. Make sure that you have it.
Yeah, Melissa, I may not just be able to, it's not that I don't have access to it. I don't think I know how to get there.
It should be right in. Have you got a Gmail account, a Google account?
I do.
It should be on your Google Drive. So if you go to your Google Drive, it should be there. You should have automatic access to that.
Just go to my, all I'd have to do.
Link, right?
Pardon?
You sent them a link? I mean, I have it, and I wasn't even at the thing.
Right. Yeah, I did send it to you on email as well, Joe.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. So if you go to your emails, you should also have it from me. If you do a search for me, it should pop up.
Okay, Melissa. Here's telling you a little bit about my personality. I don't really read the details. Oh, maybe it's your first one, invitation to edit. I think I did see that.
Okay.
Open in docs. Oh my God. Here it is.
I mean, you're actually not really missing that much, Joe, because really the only thing that we filled out at that Summit Alliance is our goal.
Oh, okay. But what really is nice, everybody's phone number is here too.
Yes, yes. And Joe's has had an update. I don't know if that is showing it. So let me give you his email and you can you can update it for today. It's fuquaydan@yahoo.com. You have to put Dan after the Fuquay. But I have that updated, so when I send out this updated file, it'll have it on there as well.
Okay, you said fuquaydan@yahoo.com?
No, it's at yahoo.com.
Yahoo.com.
Yeah.
That's what I've got. That's what you've got in here.
Okay, then that's the updated one. Good.
Okay. All right. Good. All right.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Has anybody any thoughts on anything since we've met last? I know that we didn't. Did we have any calls to action on work that we're going to do going forward?
No, I think what we need, I know what I need, because I mean, I don't have any experience in this area whatsoever. So this peer support, I don't have any experience at all. So I kind of feel like I'm bringing the scribe to the table. So
Sure.
I'm basically waiting for everybody to kind of, put their steps together to implement our goal, and then I'll hop in where I can.
Okay. Well, I think the first step is that when we were reporting out at the summit,
Mm-hmm.
there was a fair amount of interest in this. And also, I was hearing that there's already work being done in other camps along this same line.
Okay.
So we need to have someone research that and find out what else is being done
Okay.
and where they are with it. And it might be, our project might be looking at that, revamping some of that, and getting some really great ideas from people who've already put in a fair amount of work on this.
Right. That makes sense.
So, I mean,
I'm looking at this form, this pre-printed form, going down this vein of thought. What other projects or special groups that we could interact with? So we've got collaboration and expansion, directory implementation, integrated healthy community. These are all groups at the summit. So do you have a specific person or group in mind that you know of that's been working on this?
no, I don't. All I know is that I heard people talk about that. And one of the persons that I remember mentioning that now that we're talking is Chris.
Chris Budnick?
Yes. So I think someone needs to reach out to Chris. I mean, Chris is a wealth of information.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would, could you shoot him a quick email,
Sure.
get off the phone call and just say that, hey, look, we know people talked about this, you sat down at our table. Joe thinks he remembers you mentioning other groups that were working on this. Do you have anybody that you know that is working on this? Something
Right.
along those lines.
Right. Sure.
And then share that with us. Who else is on the call? How come I'm not seeing everybody on the call, I wonder?
Right now, we've just got you, myself, and Kat, and I'm not
Kat.
sure what happened to Senga.
And Dan's here.
Oh, and Dan's here, good.
Oh, Dan's there. I don't see, okay, now I see Dan. Perfect.
Yeah,
How come I'm not seeing that?
because I didn't know y'all were going to video conference, and it said picture, and I said, this is week 2 of sinus infection, and I'm not photogenic today.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, I just finished
and
up.
once I saw y'all were all video conferencing, I don't know how to undo what I did. So.
Boy, I can relate to that, Dan.
and I'm sorry, I am awfully fuzzy headed this morning. They've got me on medication and whatnot, but I'm here, and but my energy level is kind of not great.
They take forever. They take forever to get over those sinus infections.
Yeah, well, I've had them all my life because, I've snorted enough Drano to open, major sewer lines. But but this is like the granddaddy of them all I've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I apologize for that, but I am here at least in spirit. Chris is so. I'm wondering if it would be worthwhile. I thought, well, I could get with Chris. But I wonder if it would be better for a couple of us, just so, either the phone conference in or, Kat and Amanda and I all work with Chris. So that may make it easier, but I'm just wondering, Joe, if you think it would be worthwhile if, I said, had a meeting with Chris, if for you to phone in or to come join us. Hell, we'll go out to lunch.
Well, I just finished picking up garbage that the bear tipped over in Black Mountain. So to meet you for lunch, so to meet you for lunch is quite it had we had this Zoom call earlier in the month. I mean, I've been in Raleigh. I can't tell you how much this month, but that seems that I won't have to be back until maybe sometime in June again.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was just a thought, but a phone conference may work. I was just thinking with a couple of people doing it, it might help with the picking of the brain and the thought process more than just one of us doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if we could do a phone conference, that would be great. Maybe we can spend just a little bit of time as to what questions would we want to ask Chris. Okay. I mean, I know one of the things that we had talked about was supervised hours. This is probably all in the doc. I should have left that up. But what sort of rules that and the like have already been talked about? Because Dan, I think that you're the one who brought this idea to the table, which I think is a great one.
Use the definition of separately as a separate entity or entities, not together.
Whoa.
Okay. Are you being invaded by Star Wars?
Wow, that was cool.
I think it was you, Dan.
What was that?
I think it was your.
Separately?
Yeah, I think that was the Star Wars video in the back. That whatever just came out of your computer.
Sorry.
All right.
So it's Kat with us this morning?
Yep.
Oh, there you are. So Kat, I'm thinking you probably have some, you have the insight that the rest of us don't have, since you are a peer support specialist, and you know what training you have to do, or what, you're less in the dark than the rest of us. How's that?
Right. So, you know, when I was looking at this, you know, some of the things that you're talking about doing, you know, changing requirements to include supervised hours to become certified, you know, those are things that need to be submitted to the peer support springboard, you know, through UNC. Like some of those things can't happen without approval from the board, so to speak. It's not really a board, but it's a certification process. They don't have anything like a provisional certification. Like all the curriculum, there's like 12 agencies that are approved to provide the training for peer support specialists throughout the state. They all have the same 8 core competencies that people have to you know, so master, so to speak, in order to become peer support specialists. And the thing that you have to keep in mind is it's not only recovery from substance use disorders, but it's also people who have mental health recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the substance use piece, it's mental health as well. So, you know, people are encouraged to get supervision, but they don't necessarily have to have supervision. You know, it depends on what agency they work for. So the agency should provide supervision. People have to get 20 hours of continuing education every 2 years in order to become recertified. So their agency that they work for should provide that. A lot of agencies don't. So it's basically, you know, it goes by the agency. A lot of people are, you know, like 1099. So they're, you know, submitting their own billing, things like that. And so they're kind of rogue, so to speak. So, you know, having some kind of supervision would be really helpful. Because we've had, you know, I know personally of 2 people that, you know, were doing things as peer support that they shouldn't have been doing because they're not clinical. You know, I saw a job description recently for somebody advertising for a peer support specialist that was wanting them to do treatment plans. That's not part of being a peer support specialist. You know, there are certain criteria for being peer support that doesn't include writing treatment plans. That's clinical, you know. So I think people who are employers need to know what peer support is, as well as peer support specialists. If that makes any sense at all.
Kat, where would we find that criteria?
It is on the UNC. If you go to UNC or just peer support UNC, you'll come up with the website for peer support specialists.
Okay.
And you can see the code of ethics. It'll show you like what's involved in being a peer support specialist.
Is there any group that peer support can go to at this particular time that if they feel as though they're being asked to work outside of that scope, that they can talk to and voice what's happening?
Not at this time. Because peer support is a certification, there's no board, there's no registry, there's nothing. We're, you know, in the process of trying to figure that out, especially since peer support is going to be, as of June 1st, it's going to be a billable service by Medicaid. They're in the process of defining that, you know, as we speak. So, you know, we're trying to work on that.
Hey, Kat, since you're a peer support specialist, what would you like to see that would make your job easier? Because I feel like our goal, in just sitting back and listening to all of you, I kind of feel like our goal is to make the peer support specialist their job easier and give them support so that they feel like they're not overwhelmed. What would you, in your experience, you think that would be something good to pursue, to steps to achieve that goal?
I think seeing if there could be a bank of people with that are like clinical social workers or people that have the supervisor certification that would be willing to do some supervision for peer support specialists. They don't make a whole lot of money, so it would have to be affordable, or that they would be willing to donate their time. You know, that would be helpful. There is a group of people that do CEUs for peer support. It's usually on a weekend, so, and that's free, so that's awesome, that's helpful. But, you know, if there were trainings that were accessible to peer support that were, you know, reasonably priced.
What would you think about, and I'm just kind of thinking right off from the cuff here, but having trainings, if they were supplied by like a YouTube, if somebody could put together YouTube training, would that be something that would be helpful, or would that be just something that is just kind of a feel good and it would be better to have face-to-face one-on-one?
I think it would be great, especially if they can get CEUs for it. I mean, I joined NADAC and I do their webinars so that I can get CEUs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, not everybody can afford $150 a year.
Right.
You know.
Right. Right. But I'm just wondering if maybe some of these people, this band of people that you're talking about, that maybe if they could volunteer their time, if maybe they volunteered their time and put together a YouTube video, that they wouldn't reach out to a larger group of peer support specialists.
You mean for their supervision?
Right. Yeah, well, more for training, I think. Maybe a training for a backup resource.
Yeah, I think that would be great. You know, I know at our place, people could watch it as a group. That would probably be helpful, and then have a discussion afterwards or something.
Okay.
You know, but there are a lot of peer supports that are on their own. You know, they're driving around, going from person to person, and, you know, and I think it might be helpful for them, but they might need more of a one-on-one, you know, being able to talk to someone and, hey, this is what's going on with me. I need support. I'm out here all alone. I'm, you know,
right
on the front lines.
That's where it, and I don't know enough about YouTube, I guess. I you know, clicked on YouTube and used YouTube videos, but webinars, like in GoToWebinars, can be more interactive, I think, than maybe a YouTube, and that might even be a better way to put something on that you can get CEUs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. A lot like both of my licenses allow me to get CEUs over the internet or distance learning, whatever way, but it's a limited amount. There's a requirement that I go to so many in person, you know.
Okay.
Just to make sure that I'm not going and, you know, getting Psychology Today and getting the test and then reading the, you know, sorting through the article just for the answers without bothering to read the article. But in this case, though, that may be, you know, because one of the things Amanda, who I'm pretty sure is not with us today, pointed out was that if we make this very expensive, then the facilities just won't. They just won't worry about hiring them. They'll just hire them not as a peer support specialist, and they'll just hire them as a grunt.
Yeah.
And so the idea of doing some kind of webinar training, that may be a really viable way to get some of that basic stuff. And, you know, even if it was okay, we're doing webinars are being done, and they're being done in all these different locations, but you have to go to one of those locations to do it, so that there is some connection. But yeah, one question I don't have before it gets gone. Kat, you said that UNC there's like 8 of these boards around the state.
No.
No.
No, there's one agency that controls all of the peer support. There's 12 different agencies that have approved curriculum that are able to train peer support specialists.
Ah, Bach. Okay. And they all report to you. They get their certification from the UNC board.
Right.
Yeah.
From the spring, which is a part of the UNC social work department.
And it's a certification, so it's not a license, so it doesn't have to be legislated.
Right.
Kat,
Yeah.
you mentioned as of June 1st that peer support specialists, that they could be billable through Medicaid.
Right.
Does that, since
I lost somebody.
I lost Melissa.
He froze.
internet connection is
Melissa, are
unstable?
you okay?
Can you hear me?
Are you okay, Melissa? No, I thought Dan was the one that was sick.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now.
Oh, wow.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, this question's for Kat. You had mentioned that peer support specialists, that they can start being billable as of June 1st through Medicaid.
Right.
My question is has Medicaid changed any type of requirements or any type of accountability for peer support specialists since now they're under their umbrella?
No, they came up with a service definition for peer support for billable purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing has changed as far as the certification.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a national peer support? I mean, somebody had to submit, or is that just forgive
It's
my
separate
ignorance?
from North Carolina.
Yeah, so it's a North Carolina one. The Medicaid is just specific to North Carolina. Every
Right.
state does their own. Okay.
Right.
Oh, jumble joy. That would be the way to do it then. If most peer supports are getting reimbursements from Medicaid, is since it's not going to be legislated to get Medicaid to require that the peer support specialist get blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. And that would push enough facilities to do it. I'm just thinking down the road once we figure out what we want to push.
Yeah, the other thing too is now that these will be billable hours, I would think that an agency would be willing to pay maybe a little bit more than they would have in the past to secure and continued employment for peer support specialists.
You would hope.
Exactly.
Well, you can bill for a peer support specialist, but you can't bill for a grunt.
Right. But if there's no teeth to make them pay the money for the peer support specialist, I think even a lot of even well-meaning facilities will go, yeah, we need to do that, and we're going to, but we need to.
Well, that would be yeah, Dan, that would be part of the whole idea of requiring supervised hours for peer support specialists, which doesn't exist right now, or that would be part of a new requirement, and that's what we're sort of drafting to put before whomever to see if that would make sense. So right now, that's right. There would be absolutely no teeth to it at all.
Kat, is the board, if I'm using the right term, are drawing up their stuff for, because of Medicaid, are they looking at adding anything like CEUs or supervision, or are they just looking at it in terms of what it takes to get certified, not what it takes once you're been certified?
Well, it's an advisory committee, and we're in the process of trying to revamp some things, which I can't really disclose that. But yeah, there are things in place for supervision. It has to be, the person supervising has to be a qualified professional, which means they need to be a master's level, person in order to do the supervision. That's like one of the provisions of it. But yeah, there are some changes going down the pike, but right now, as things stand, the only thing in place to hold a peer support specialist in place is the code of ethics. That's the gold standard, is our code of ethics. If that answers your question at all.
It did. Sorry, I'm fading here for a minute. I'll be back, but I'm fading.
Oh.
Take care, Dan.
Well, I'm fine. It's just me and the couch have been one for quite a while now.
Okay. Part of it, what we talked about too, is, and I heard that some peer support specialists are going in and being asked to work just an inordinate number of hours. And that there really isn't any group or anything for care for these and the wellness of these peer support specialists. I don't know how much, I can't remember how much we tackled or discussed that, but I know that was part of our discussion as well. Are there any thoughts on that?
And that is a big part of being a peer support specialist, is the focus on wellness, not only for your peer, but for yourself, is personal wellness. And if people aren't, held accountable at their job for their own wellness, that is a problem. If their agency isn't holding them accountable, that's on their agency. And so I think education for some of these agencies that are hiring peer support specialists might be helpful too. Like if you employ peer support specialists, this is what being a peer support specialist is all about. This is what you should expect from your peer, and this is what your peer needs.
Kat, outside of the going to the website and having an agency finding out that information on their own, are there any webinars, are there any trainings to support what you just talked about that you're aware of?
Not really.
Yeah. Well, that would be something else that I think that's another path we could also come up with a list of things that we think would be beneficial. Yeah.
That might be, I could see that being, y'all are familiar with winter school or summer school. One of the lunchtime topics, somebody that's knowledgeable, or a couple of people that are knowledgeable talking about it while everybody's eating lunch, as opposed to.
Or it's go back to Melissa's idea and the YouTube thing. Some knowledgeable people could create a YouTube so that people could go to, and we could do a road show with YouTube, to let people know what's expected, and what it is to be a peer support specialist. Okay.
You hear me writing?
I hear you typing. I hear you typing.
No, I'm actually just doing it the old-fashioned way, and I'll type.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'll type it in later. But you guys have got some really great ideas.
Well, look, maybe what we need to do is recap, and then take a couple of. One is that, Dan, can you set up a conference call with Chris?
Yeah.
So that we can, maybe talk about what our next steps would be in seeing what already is being done.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk with him and then probably send you and him an email link to come up with a time.
Okay, perfect.
And anybody else that would want to be in on it. But I just wanted it to be more than just me, so that different trains of thought.
Kat, would you be willing to be part of that as well?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Because you really are a wealth of information here.
She is that.
Yeah, I really
appreciate of information.
Just to know
I
it
can't
all.
tell you how much I've appreciated.
And y'all haven't met her, but she's a wonderful person too, and I don't say that with any joke. She's good peeps.
Well, I really appreciate everything you've added to this today. That's for sure.
Well, I hated that I had to miss the summit, but we had the dental bus here that day that was donated by the Baptist Men's, and we had volunteer dentists that came here to see our guys and do dental work for free. So I had to be here that day.
Oh yeah.
Which was really important. Dental services are really hard for homeless people.
That's for sure. Mm-hmm. I worked as with a homeless shelter or a nonprofit homeless group for probably 8 years, and that was a huge concern. That and socks. Nobody ever had socks. They didn't care about the shoes as much as the socks.
Right.
Okay, so we've got that going. Now, the other thing about care and to make sure that agencies understand what a peer support is. What sorts of action items do we need to go, or what do we need to do going forward there? Thoughts?
I'm curious if the board is doing anything at all in that direction, if they have plans to educate. Do you know, Kat? Or if they have plans to do, not public service, but basically PR and information about peer supports?
You mean for the agencies?
Yes.
I don't think so at this time.
Kat, do you think that would be a good idea for someone to come up with something like that?
It might be. That might be really helpful, for agencies to know, like what's involved in peer support, what peer support specialists need, what it means, what they can and what they can't do.
Bingo.
They're trying to make peer support specialists clinical, and it's not a clinical
Right.
Yeah. Because that's going to open up the agencies to trouble. You get somebody unlicensed doing something that somebody licensed is supposed to do. You open up all kinds of worms.
So what avenues do you think we can pursue or travel along to meet those ends? I mean, I can see developing a webinar. I can see developing a YouTube. I can see having, you know, a 2-page printed. I think you could get on a couple pages printed material, but making something accessible to people so that they don't have to go to the website. And the easier, I think, and the more accessible it is, the more it would be used.
Exactly. So they don't have to hunt around for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do think about winter school. Yeah, that happens in Greensboro, because that one is the big. They do a lot of supervision hours, and so there are a lot of administrators that go to that one, and other supervisors that go to that conference, because they can knock out their supervisor hours at that one conference every 2 years. And it's heavy, it's just heavy in administrators, both administration and clinical administrators, that I think it's really important who we get the idea of what peer support people can do and shouldn't be doing, and the problems with that. I don't know if there is the expert that could do that, or the expert needs to be developed that could, you know, give the hour, 45 minutes or an hour presentation on, you know, you've heard of peer support specialists. These are great things they can do for you. These are things you don't want to do with them.
Great idea. So how do you get on the agenda for the, you know, when you were saying winter school and summer school, and I thought you were using, I didn't realize it was an actual thing.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah,
it's the
ahead.
North Carolina Alcohol and Drug Foundation, something. And so they have winter school, which is in February in Greensboro, and they fill up the hotel and some others. So it's a week long. I mean, like 35 CEUs you pick up in this week. And then they also do one in Wilmington in the summer at the UNC Wilmington campus. Now, winter school, and during those, so you have a main topic. So you go to a couple of days of that, and then you pick up a half-day seminar of this and a half-day seminar of that. And there's keynote speakers. But during lunch or opening session, or lunch especially, they tend to have, you know, I've heard all kinds of topics. Some of them are really great, and then other ones are like, well, you know, that was lovely. You know, nobody's paying any attention to.
Right.
I think this would be one where they would like, oh, I hear about peer support specialists. What the heck is it? You know, because I mean, we've proven it's, you know, a lot of people know the name or the term, but not exactly what the heck it is or who they are. So I just wonder if there's somebody on that board that would be, you know, the credentialed expert that could do it, or, you know, they get a.
You know, Dan, you mentioned something because I've heard noontime speakers at these things all the time, and some of them are a drag. What came to my mind is, what if we would develop a 10-minute skit that would talk about the do's and don'ts of a peer support specialists and have some peer support specialists put it on. They could show abuse of a peer support specialist, and then just talk a little bit about and have a little bit about, well, I don't know. I'm just going way out there. But then to have a pass along that everybody out there would have too, to really explain what a peer support specialist was. But to pique their interest during the lunch, have a quick skit. Those are things I pay attention to. Something out of the box, something a little bit different.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a really great idea to put a real face with a peer support specialist, kind of push forward that they're a real individual, and you push the wellness, not only the wellness for the client, but the wellness for the peer support specialist, which I think this is all about. I think it's a great idea. It's different, it's innovative, it's not very long, would be fun to do.
Yeah,
you could do it.
Cat's the star. Cat, can we talk to your agent now?
There we go.
I might could draft some people.
Well, is that something we want to put on a list too, to see if we can find people who would be willing to work on developing a skit like that?
Sure.
Good. Okay.
Is there other people that we want to draft onto this committee?
I think there are. I mean, one of the things that I would like to draft, I come from a substance use disorder camp, but I do know that the mental health issues and there are a lot of peer support specialists that are probably working along those lines as well. I think to have somebody to represent that camp as well, and maybe Dan, maybe you and in your job and Kat and your peer support specialist feel as though you can handle that part of it. But I think that if we don't have that, to draft somebody onto that committee, onto this committee from those would be good. I'm not sure who to reach out to though.
Yeah, I don't either, truthfully.
Kat, do you have any contacts that are peer support specialists that they pretty much work with the mental health aspect?
Yeah. I think we can get somebody that does that. And also, I was thinking about inviting Ken Schuslin, who he works for the state.
Yeah.
But he is totally knows everything about peer support, so I think he can give us a lot more insight into what we can and can't do.
Boy,
and
that's
I'm sorry, what was his name? Ken Schuslin?
Ken Schuslin.
Yeah.
How do you spell his last name?
SCHUSSLIN.
Perfect, thank you.
He's a great guy too.
Yep.
He also happens to be really good friends with the new executive director for APNC.
Yep. I just saw him the other day, and I mentioned this group to him. So I think he'd be interested in sitting on, at least sitting in one of these sessions with us.
Kat, can you reach out to Ken?
Yeah.
Great.
I don't know if he'll be able to join us before June because the state is finishing their fiscal year.
Right.
So once that's done, I think they'll have more free time.
Well, okay, maybe that's what we need to do right now is look at our calendars and set up when we'd like to do our next Zoom call.
Sounds great.
Do Fridays generally work well for people?
They do for me.
I'm wide open.
Yeah, that works.
I'm thinking any particular Friday in June that really is. I think we should give ourselves at least a month to. So the 7th or the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
10 o'clock, is that a good time?
Fine.
Works for me.
Okay, 7th or the 14th. Do I have, how many 7ths? How many 14ths do I have, first of all? I'm on 14.
Either one's fine with me.
Let's go to the 7th since the 14th is Father's Day. And I may get to do something
Oh,
fatherish.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
okay,
Nice.
for that weekend. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, good. I'm glad you caught that. Okay, the 7th.
Okay.
10 o'clock.
I'll let Deborah know so she can set up that call. And I'll put all of our thoughts in I'll probably set up another file. This file doesn't really seem to coordinate with what we've talked about too much. And make sure that I get that out to you. So if you don't get it in the next 24 hours, let me know and I'll resend it.
Okay.
I kind of feel like my job is to get on that UNC board website and kind of get up to speed somewhere close to where you folks are. Not as never as far as Kat.
I've been doing this for a little while.
Oh, wait, you know what? I just looked at my calendar more closely on June 7th. I can't do it on June 7th.
Okay.
So I know we don't want to go with Father's Day. Geez, I can't do it on the 6th either. What if we did Thursday, June 13th? How would you look? Were you taking a longer weekend than that, Dan, than Friday? Would you think?
No, that should be fine.
I can't do the afternoon then if we do it on a Thursday.
Yeah, I can't do a Thursday morning, but I certainly can get the call set up. So if that's the day.
Well, no, we can come up with a day that works for all of us.
Okay.
Let's go to Friday, June 21st.
I could do Friday, June. I've got a dentist appointment at 9:40.
You know what? If everybody can do the what do we say, the 14th?
Right.
You know, I can no matter what's going on, I can make I can make an hour or two on the 14th if that works for everybody else.
Dan, you can do a Zoom call from the car.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can, and I can, if I'm out of the country, as long as I got internet, I can do it then.
Yeah, I think it's just important for us to stay in touch to keep going forward. And even if we only took 10 minutes to a half hour or whatever that period of time is, just so that we keep just chipping away at this a little bit at a time.
Agreed.
And not try and tackle everything. So I think an hour max.
Yeah.
And even if it ends up being less than an hour, I think we're okay with that too. However, a good piece with this would be if Ken could report to us on the 14th as well, if you can find that out, Kat.
All right, sure. I'll invite him.
Okay, perfect.
So we're going to put it down right now. It's the 14th at 10 o'clock.
At 10, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Melissa, will you be sending us a reminder on that?
I will do that. That is something I can do.
You're the best, Melissa.
You are. You
Really
win
are.
all the
Oh,
points.
yes.
No, you truly are. You're all the best.
Uh-huh.
Have I told you guys I love you yet today?
There we go.
Well, I love each and every one of you.
Oh, I love that.
Well, what I always tell people is if nobody's told you they love you today,
Yep.
then, and I sincerely mean this, you need to do something different.
Yeah.
You need to change
I like that.
something.
That's a good one. That's good. All right. Well, if there isn't anything else, have a wonderful weekend.
I hope you all do as well.
Thanks
Happy
all
Mother's
for
Day,
joining.
all you mothers, and we'll talk to you in a month.
All right, great.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. It's nice
Bye-bye.
meeting you, Kat. Bye.
Take care.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye. What the heck's going on here?